Good afternoon. My name is Sergeant First Class Gardner. I'm coming today on Problem Solving Speeches, Class Comms 345, on the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan. We know we have been fighting over war for over 10 years, and it's right time for us to come back from Afghanistan to bring our troops back home. We know they have some problems over there among themselves, but I think that we have done all we could do to help them to get to where they are at right now today, and it's time for our soldiers to come home. We know we had having inner swabble fightings and corruption going on over there, but we had trained them to the best of their ability to defend their country and take care of their people over there. Now it's time for us to come back and do what we need to do back home for us, getting our deficits and everything up to par. So what would happen when U.S. draw from Afghanistan completed? They are trying to get this done by 2014 December. The move was part of a military transaction from Afghanistan, U.S. occupying their country. The Afghan forces have been trained, and they should be able to hold their own country down, really tell you the truth. We know they had faction over there for us dealing with, the overall Shiites, Sunnis, different types of faction of Muslims. The Afghan defense has stated it is ready to take over the responsibility, and along the government welcomed the U.S. decision to withdraw their forces from there. Even though the Taliban agree on this matter, they refuse to reduce the intent of the promise to continue fighting for the salvage of their country. The U.S. forces, we estimate to fall between 0 and 15,000, depending on the circumstances and the smoothing of the process by the end of 2014. That is our goal, to do that. The president sits there and he said in his speech, that right now we have, he had announced that between 10,000 troops will return home from Afghanistan by the end of this year, and all 33 sent in the surge will be withdrawn by next September. It's much anticipated that a modern drawdown by the military chief and the sizable reduction called for a growing number of lawmakers, both Republican and Democrats. The first troop will start moving from Afghanistan next month, in line for the deadline that the president set for us to leave. He authorized this back in 2009. Right now we got 68,000 troops that's over there right now. And by the end of 2014, we will hand everything over to the Afghan government. Then we will come back home to try to take care of responsibility. But it said if the U.S. would not stay and try to make Afghanistan a perfect place. We are not the police. It's a street of patrol and the mountains identified. That's not our responsibility. It's time for us to come home to do what we need to do as far as home and take care of our troops. I think we've fought a long, hard battle. And it's time for us to come back to get our forces back up to strength just in case there's another conflict. And also that the Afghan people start building their infrastructure up and start putting their people to work. As well, same thing back here. Start putting our people to work as far as building roads and bridges and things like that there. Majority of our money and our debt comes from fighting two wars, one in Iraq and one in Afghanistan. So bringing it home, that means that's less money that we got to give to foreign governments to help them build up their infrastructure, build up their government, build them up to standard where we need that back home. So we can be able to do the same thing as far as building up, taking care of the people, taking care of the soldiers, taking care of everyone that's here that needs help. We $1 trillion in the hole due to this war. And we need to sit here and actually just start building on what's good for our country as a whole. And it's a good thing that we are bringing our troops back from Afghanistan. The Pentagon have warned that anything more than the most moderate or drawdown will jeopardize the gain that the United States has made, particularly in the south of the country where the surge has been focused. So We did what we had to do. We helped them to get what they had to get. Now it's time for them to actually take over as a country and maintain and get their country up to par. Get their politicians in line, stop the corruption, stealing from your countrymen, and it will help a whole lot. Then we bring our people home, which is our soldiers who done fought hard, so they can be their loved ones, because deployment after deployment after deployment after deployment, it takes a toll on the soldier and well as the family. So now it's time for us to come back, bond, and do what we need to do to get our country back up to where it needs to be back up to. We have been fighting just hard, trying to help someone. Now it's time for us to help ourselves. And I think that both the Republicans and Democrats should agree upon this here. To start to get our deficit under par and stop helping other people who don't want help. If they don't want to help them, we over there, we forcing what we got to force on them, our way of living. If they want to live a certain way, let them live a certain way. That's just not our forte. So it's a good thing that we have this withdrawal. It's good for both for the Afghans and for the United States as a whole. They can focus on building their country up, getting it to where it needs to be, and we need to come back home and do the same thing here to get our country where it needs to be and up to par. So I would just like to say that, it's a good thing that what the president done as far as getting our troops to come home and withdraw. We done all we could to help them. And, the government needs to sit down with the Taliban and come with a clear understanding on how they want to run the country, which direction the country going to go in. And I think they're going to be all right. I really do. In my heart, I think they're going to be all right. It's just, we just have to sit there and we got to focus on the United States. We really do. In choosing the middle grounds, the president was pleased in a few Washington power structure. They said the Pentagon has warned that anything more than a moderate drawdown would jeopardize any gain that we have made over there. Even though the military leaders have suggested 4,000 to 5,000 troops as initial drawdown, but Robert Gates, the outgoing Secretary of State, said that it's critical that the U.S. continue to lessen the capability of the Taliban while enhancing the Afghan security forces. So I think they're ready, in my heart, to do that. It's going to be a long, hard drawdown thing for the Afghan people, but the solution of the whole situation is it's time for them to actually sit down at the table among themselves and draw up a conclusion on what they're going to do and which direction that the country is going to go in to be able to not just help a section or a group of people in the country, but the whole country as a whole. So, if they come to some type of solution on this, it will be a blessing. If not, then we done all we could as a country to help them to get from point A to point B. We didn't sweat, blood, and sacrifice we had done in this country to help that country to do what they need to do. It's time for us to come home and do what we need to do home, to take care of home, to rebuild what's need to be rebuilt back here in this country as a whole. So I think it's a great thing that we are withdrawing, and that all my blessing goes out to the Afghan people in all fashion and form, that y'all come up with some type of understanding that y'all can come to a conclusion that what's good for the country, not good for a select few people. I would like to say God bless you and have a blessed day.